Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another really cool arcade game repair video for you today. We have got in a really neat one today. This is a game we bought at auction a while back, and this is how we found it, so it's pretty rough. But this is Midway's Winner, also known as the first ever Midway arcade game. So this, I think, was 1973, may have been 74, but this was their first game that they ever made, and this was a exact copy of Pong. It was actually a licensed Pong clone. So back in the day, this thing is super cool. Back in the day, whenever Atari came out with Pong, a lot of the people that got in on the arcade business were convinced that that games like Pong were the future. So basically, there wasn't much thought immediately that, you know, they would make, you know, each company would make completely different games. At first, Pong was a video game, you know, and it was, people just had the mindset that that's what video games were, was a paddle game, you know. So all of the companies at first made the exact same games. So they actually, Midway went about it the legal way, and they actually licensed Pong and made an exact copy of the game board, and made the cabinet a little bit different. But it's hard to understand that things were like that at one time. But basically, there was nothing like this before. Well, you know, there's a couple things, but in general, there was nothing this big before. So everybody, it was like a pool table. You know, somebody invents a pool table where you can go to the bar, put quarters in the machine, and play a game of pool. And then other companies make pool tables, design a gumball machine, use it to vend gumball machines, and then like 10 years later, somebody comes up with the idea, hey, instead of putting gumballs in it, we could put peanuts in it. And then they put one next to the gumball machine and make all kinds of money off the peanut one. That's kind of how this was. They thought that Pong, that type of game, was going to be the only, was going to, at least for the foreseeable future, was going to be what a video game was. So they all had different names, but it was basically the same thing. And then finally, a couple of the companies start making slight variations on it. And all this happened pretty quick, so it was within like a year. They started making variations on it. So this is Winner, and then they made one called, I think, Four Winner or something like that, where it was a 4-player game. And that's another thing. These games, the Pong ones, were all 2-player games, so you needed 2 people to play at the same time. You couldn't play against the computer or anything. But we're real happy to find this. We like these old things. It doesn't really have a ton of value. You got to find just the right customer for it. It's not super collectible or anything like that, but we're going to save it. So the first thing that we're going to do is open it up and see what's inside of it. So it's got this little cheapo back door that somebody just made and screwed on it. We'll make one that fits a little better. But we'll take that off and see what the inside looks like. Okay, so we got the back door off, and check out what we got. Now, on these early games like this, they used a TV. So this one just has a TV case and all still inside the game. And it says, from the back at least, Teledyne Packard Bell, 12333 West Olympic Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90064. Pretty cool, people. And so inside the game, on the very top, there's a volume control right there. And over here is a power switch. You can see this is a speaker grill. And then up here, again, we're looking from the back. Up here, there was, I think there was a little plate that went over this. That hole right there is where you can slide the bezel out of the front of the game. I think there must have been some kind of little wooden plate that laid over that and had screws or something on it. But inside we've got this. We've got, I don't know how well this will show up, it's kind of dark. We've got some relays over here. It says coin, credit, game over, start control jack. Game timer, power supply. Down here there's a fuse, a little transformer, service outlet. This says timer adjustment jack, so you can make it, the timer's off, you can make it 5 minutes, 6 minutes, or 7 minutes. And then on this side is where the game board would have originally been, but it is missing. Wah, wah, wah. So down in the bottom, there is a speaker, the other board holder, bunch of power cords. So I pulled out the paperwork out of the bottom of the cabinet, and I'll tell you, that looks remarkably like a dead mouse in the dark. But it's not, it's a leaf. Stop overreacting. So all this is in the bottom. Let's see what it says. You and your television set, safety points you should know. A public service by the Consumer Products Division of the Electronics Industries Association, Washington, D.C. Your television set is a complex electronic product. Safeguards have been designed into your receiver. You should observe the following basic rules for its installation and use. Very cool. Teledyne Packard & Bell Astronaut portable black and white TV. Wow. Also pretty cool. Amp Duotine flag printed circuit board right angle edge connector. That may not be in there anymore. It looked like they had, well, I don't know, maybe. General instructions for winter. Installation. The power is controlled by a switch located on top of the cabinet. Plug in AC only, 115 volts, 60 cycles. Equipment panel and logic unit. Located in back box area and are easily serviced by removing back door. They should have said something about after service. Put the damn back door on the cabinet so people later don't have to make one. Score slide switch. Located on logic unit to end game at 11 or 15 points. Okay. Timer jack. Located on equipment panel. This jack is provided as an optional feature and is adjustable from 5, 6, or 7 minutes. In the off position, the game will end when designated score is reached. Volume control. Located on top of cabinet. To increase volume, rotate in a clockwise direction. Midway Manufacturing Company, Schiller Park, Illinois. Well, there you go, folks. That's the original manual for a Midway winner. And this may be the coveted schematics. Oh, it's going to be a wiring diagram. Winner 19. Game number 567. April 6th, 1973. So it appears to be just like Pong, but it's got a couple things added to it. Timer board, some stuff like that. Little credit board. I've never worked on an Atari Pong, so maybe they had similar stuff in it. Not sure. Alright, so that's that, and I don't know if I can open this with one hand. Let's see if anything is in this little envelope. In this envelope, there is a little piece of metal, possibly some kind of tool, and a little piece of paper that says 15. So I think what that would be, didn't it just say something about the points? Yeah. Score slide switch, located on logic unit to end game at 11 or 15 points. So on the bezel maybe, yeah. Blank spot, points win. Ball serves automatically, move paddle control knob to return ball. So using that little key, you do something, and then you can change the little piece of paper behind there so that it says 15 points win. So that is what we're starting with, people. Not much there. But guess what? I ordered a logic board. Be back in a second. Okay, so I looked and looked and looked for a winter PCB, and I could not find one. But what I did find was these Allied Leisure paddle battle boards, right? Which is basically the same thing. If you look at a picture of an Atari Pong PCB, they look just like this. Now, there's slight variations that they did to make them all like a little bit different sometimes, or sometimes they'd be exactly the same. But since these are basically copies of the Pong PCB, and Winter was a copy of the Pong PCB, they should work in this cabinet. Now these, of course, are untested and everything. This one here is missing parts, obviously. But this is something to start with, so I'm going to attempt to repair one of these or both of these, who knows. So looking at this board, it's got a couple chips missing. So here's a chip missing. Here are a couple chips missing. So on this other board that's complete, or more complete, I've got them upside down for one. Let's spin them. Let's spin them, shall we? Okay, so this chip that's missing here on this one is a 7400. Now, let's see if it was ever on the board. I would guess, yeah, it was probably on there at some point. It's been removed. And then the other two here originally would have been a 7474 and a 7474. So I don't know, folks. I'm gonna have to study Pong PCBs. Damn, there's another one. Okay, so D is missing, and on this one it was a 7404. These are all just simple little logic chips. I think everything on it is, but these are all just simple little logic chips that we've got in the back. But I hate to just throw them on, not knowing for sure that they were originally on there. I believe they were, though. So they're pulling parts off this thing. Here's the crystal. It's still on it. Looks like one of these bad boys, whatever it is, has been removed from there. Up here, it's on there. And then the big cap is missing. Right? And then most notably the heatsink and that power transistor is missing. So I might look into getting that too. Now on this board, instead of having 3 of these chips in place, they have these little daughter boards soldered in place. So this one is G2. So on this board, G2 is a 7427. And then this one is E3. And on this board, E3 is also a 7427. Am I even showing you the right chip? Yeah, E3. 7427. And then 2 over is also a 7427. Where are we? 7427. So I guess I could look it up to see if these little boards are basically just doing the same thing as a 7427. Maybe they ran out of them and had to make these little boards. These are 7425s. So I could look that up, but I'm going to guess that these do the same thing as a 7427. So that one's actually complete. This one's missing a few things. Perhaps we'll try to fix both. What do you think? I hate to just plug the thing in, though, not without testing any power or anything. So I think what I'll do first is I will plug it in without a game board in and just see if we can get that TV to come on or anything. Okay, so we plugged it in and we got the light up top to work, and it looks fantastic. Monitor didn't come on, but you may have noticed that the cord for the TV was hanging around the front. So I'm going to check the I want to check those schematics. and see where that's supposed to plug into. Perhaps the service port down there, but we'll see. All right, folks, so after looking in the schematics, it doesn't actually show where to plug the TV in, but there's only one power connection in the game, and it's right there. And it is switched, so when you turn the game off, it turns off everything. So it also turns off that outlet, which means that it's just fine to plug the TV into it. So if you turn it on with that plugged in, you can hear the TV coming up. And there it is. Now, on this game, they designed it where there's a little extra connector that plugs into the monitor, and down here it says TV brightness control and TV brightness control, but I think this one's contrast actually. They both say it though, but so you can actually adjust the brightness from the coin door. If you turn to contrast, you don't get much change, but I think it'll be fine once the signal is actually hooked up to it. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the voltage on the power supply. So this transformer here sends 8 volts to these two connectors, and I think this is the center tap. This is all AC voltage. Yeah, that's the only places that power comes from. Power is also running over to this timer board, and then also around to some of the relays and things. But it appears that if we've got the right voltage at these, that will be fine. I'm still going to look on the schematics for paddle ball to make sure that the wiring's the same too, just to be careful. But we'll check that out here in a minute. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check this voltage with the multimeter. Okay, so on the schematics, your ground is pin 22, which is the center tap of the transformer, and then you should be getting 8 volts on pin 6 and pin 4. So what I've done is I've hooked up the multimeter to this little edge connector. It looks like they've replaced that amp one that the paperwork was for with this little bit more modern one. Who knows when. But I'm actually getting 9.5 volts. Since it's an AC voltage, if it's a little high, that's fine. So the actual game board is going to change that down to 5 volts. So we actually, and I checked the other one, it's fine too. So basically our power supply is working. It's just a little transformer, so usually those don't go bad. Now one of the problems we're going to run into is that Winner used these extra relays and things that we were talking about earlier. That's going to be the paddle battle game that I've got probably doesn't have the circuitry for that, so I might have to make a little adapter for that to get that power battle board to wire right up to the Winner harness and not use the game over relay. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that, but we'll check it out. But basically what we've got is a game that's working. If it still had the original Winner, Midway Winner board, it would probably be just fine. All this stuff would probably be fine, and the monitor would probably be fine. So since we can't find a Midway Winner board, we're going to look at the schematics and see what the difference is between a Winner and a paddle battle. Alright, so luckily all these schematics are online. So what I looked up first was paddle battle, and I found the wiring diagram for paddle battle, Allied Leisure's game. And it is different than Winner. One of the ways that it's different is all the numbers are reversed. So like for instance, on paddle battle, the power comes in on pin 1, which is the ground, the center tap, 17 and 19. But on Winner, as we've been looking at, it comes in on pin 22, 6 and 4, which is actually just 17 and 19 reversed. So I made a little list. I went through and wrote down everything backwards. So 1 on paddle battle is actually pin 22 on Winner, and etc., etc., etc. So some of the stuff's different. Now the power is the same, but the paddle connections are in different places. The coin relay is different. And the video is even slightly different. So I'm going to have to make some kind of adapter. So then I thought, well, I wonder what the difference was between Paddle Battle, because it looks just like a Pong board, right? And I found a picture of a Winner board online, and it looks just like a Pong board. So what in the world is the difference between Paddle Battle, Winner, and Pong? So I looked up the Pong schematics. So they actually have the original Pong manual online by Atari. And looking over this, it looks like that Winner is almost an exact copy of Pong. All of the stuff lines up, but the sound for the video I'm not sure about. Looks like maybe it's different. And Pong doesn't have some of the stuff that is on Winner. This game over relay, for instance, and the credit relay. So that whole setup there doesn't even exist on Pong, and it doesn't exist on Paddle Battle. So it looks like a Pong board would probably plug in and work fine, but Paddle Battle is slightly different. So we're going to have to get creative with it. I'm not quite sure if the video is the same either on Paddle Battle. If you look at the edge connector, things are just a little different on these than on Pong and the pictures of Winner. Now, I looked at the Winner manual, and I went through the Paddle Battle board set, and every chip is exactly the same as in the Winner manual, but the edge connector is a little different. So I could probably, if I knew what I was doing enough, I could probably figure out how to get these relays to work as well. So for instance, pin 7 and pin 15 on Winner are for the credit relay and the game over relay, 7 and 15. But if you look on the original Pong board, pin 7 didn't have anything going to it, and pin 15 went to the antenna. Whatever in the world that's all about. And then if you look on Paddle Battle, which is backwards, pin 7 doesn't have anything connecting to it, and pin 15 is where the one-player paddle connects. So it's just, stuff is slightly different. So I'm going to order some parts, and we'll see if we can make a little adapter for one of these boards to where I can safely plug in the video and the power, at least, into that cabinet, and see if we can get the board up on the screen to see what it looks like. So that'll take a couple days, but through the magic of YouTube, you won't have to wait. It'll be right now. Okay, so time has passed quickly for y'all, slowly for me, but time has passed, and I got in all of my most of my parts that I need to make a little adapter for it. So I've got these little finger boards, so I'm going to put one of these in the harness inside the game. And then run wires off of it to this new edge connector that connects to here, and so that way I can change the pin out to, make it match. And then for this one here that's missing a bunch of parts, I bought some heat sinks. I'm still waiting on the transistor, but it's coming. There was one of these little transistors missing right there. Ordered some of those, and the crystal that's on this one is missing on the other one, right? So I ordered those, and the big cap here is missing on this one, so I ordered some of those. So I can replace that one too if I need to. So I've got all my stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my paperwork with my wiring, and I'm going to rig up a harness. And I think to start with, I'll just make one where it does the power and the video, and plug it in and see if we can get the video to come up at all, or if it's doing anything at all. Okay folks, so this is the wiring harness that I came up with, the little adapter, and I put the crystal in that was missing. So the basically the wiring's slightly different. I use thicker wire for the power and use regular sized wire for some of the signals and stuff. So I made a list of the diagram of the harness for the Pong / Winner cabinet, and I made a list of the wiring for Paddle Battle. And so I had one little thing that I wasn't sure about everything matched up, but on Paddle Battle you're supposed to put a shunt between 7 and 22, pin 7 and pin 22, and I'm not sure why, so I went ahead and did it. But I don't know what that does or why you would need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the board in the game and see if we get anything. Okay, so we have plugged up our board, right, very carefully, and then turned on the game. Let me turn off the light so you can see it a little better. And it is actually up and running, but I cannot get the screen to stop scrolling, and it's a little too wide, so I can't get the sync to come in. Now, I believe it's playing right. It looks like it is. That's how it looks on the attract mode. So we'll try coining it up. You can see the little credit light came on. And we'll try starting a game. Again, it's actually working. It's just that the sync is acting up. Let me see if I can turn the knob in the back. I probably can't while I'm not looking at it. So the game is actually... There we go. I can't see the other paddle too well, and the game is actually playing. So I think the board may be all right. There may be a sync problem with the board, but I think more than likely the problem is that the TV needs rebuilt, which we're going to do anyway. So pretty cool. Certainly sounds good, huh? We can rebuild all that later, the caps or whatever's making it sound so buzzed up. But what I'll do is we'll have to jerk that TV out of there and get the monitor board out and replace the caps on it and see if that gets us a better picture. But you know, it could come down to I've got something hooked up wrong. Now, that little shunt that I was talking about on the jumper, I looked in the schematics and tracked it all down, and it looks like that is connecting one of those little transistors right in through here to ground, which has something to do with the coining, how to coin it up. So I don't believe that's causing any kind of TV problems. I think the TV just needs recapped, like most monitors do, especially one from 1973. So we'll see if we can pop that out of there, and we'll mess with that next.
But that will have to wait till next time. We'll see you soon. Leave your comments below.